By the way, I spoke last November in Bristol, Tennessee, Virginia. That's what they call it. It's not like Graham, North Carolina, Elon, North Carolina. It's Bristol, Tennessee, Virginia. They just can't make up their mind. And apparently, the street that runs right up the middle of town called State Street, if you're on this side, you're in Tennessee. If you're on this side, you're in Virginia. You could say Tennessee, Virginia, Tennessee, Virginia. Or you could hop back and forth, just hop back and forth. I have a friend there named Ruth King. She's kind of a matriarch in Bristol, and she recommended me for this speech. And I said, Ruth, what if you were coming up the street in Virginia and you saw in your rearview mirror that there was a light going around and you had just made a mistake and run a stop sign? Could you hurriedly do a U-turn and get over here and say, can't get me, I'm in Tennessee? And she said, well, you probably could, but you could never go back home to Virginia. So the reason that Ruth recommended me to speak there was at their Paramount Theater, big old theater like this one, they were having a salute to veterans on Veterans Day. And particularly, they were saluting women veterans. And Ruth and I and several others went to lunch that day. And as we were at our table, there'd been a lot of publicity. Somebody approached. I had even had a sandwich named after me in Bristol that day. It was Jeannie's Silly Hilly Billy Philly. And I called, we have pictures. I called Lefrain and I said, they named a sandwich after me. He said, I don't care what they named it. Can you just bring some food home with you when you come, please? And so as we were eating, a young woman came up and she said, hey, Miss King, it's so nice to see you. But Jeannie, what I wanted to tell you was, I just so appreciate you coming for this salute for veterans. I said, I didn't think of this program. They called me for the theater. I had nothing to do with it. I think it's great. She said, well, I'm going to be there. So naturally I said, are you a veteran? And she said, no, I'm not a veteran. And our family's had some in the past, but we don't have one right now. But I love the military. And I love my country. And when I see a military person who's active military, you know they are, they've got on the camouflage suits, says, sometimes I'll go over there and just say, thank you for serving. I said, well, I've got something to tell you. I've done that same thing several times in airports. And some of our biggest airlines, I fly 25 days of the month or something like that. And I will guarantee you they will see these people and let them board first. And when they get on planes, they will announce to the passengers, we have active military personnel on board and we thank you for your service. And do you know what everybody on the airplane does? They applaud, and it's wonderful. She said, yeah, it is wonderful most of the time. But last summer, my husband and I were out shopping in a big store, and I saw a military man, and he was there with his wife and his son, about 8 years old. And I said to my husband, he's military, see the camouflage? I'm going over there and thank him for serving. She said, Jeannie, my husband is a fuddy-duddy sometime. He might be left brain. He said, don't go over there and bother him. He's obviously going somewhere, coming back, guards, reserves, something. Leave him alone. He's with his family. She said, that's my point. I'm going to go over there and in front of his son, thank his daddy for his service. And I marched over there without my husband. And I got and I tapped the man on the arm, and he turned, and at the same time his wife turned and his little boy turned, and it caught me off guard. And before I could speak, my husband grabbed me by the other arm and said, he's a hunter.